My late best friend's wife cheated on him, but my wife supports her anyway.
My late best friend's wife? So, like your dead best friend?
Yeah.
Wife cheated on him while he was alive or dead? I'm confused and I want more information.
Let's find out. My 32 male marriage with my wife, Mary, 31 female, feels like it's unraveling at the seams. I just have so much anger, disgust, and resentment inside me to the point that regular everyday living feels impossible.
Aw.
By the way, this comes from Greedy Orchard 7723 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I want to scream all the time, and it feels like I'll never ever be my carefree self again.
This is so OP. You can get through this. I hope.
No, just kidding. Yes, I am in therapy, and I have told my wife I really need to. I really think we need couple/marriage counseling too. She's thinking about it. This is long, so if you can be bothered to read it, buckle in.
This is gonna be fun.
My best friend, Ben, was my ride or die. We met when we were 5, and we were inseparable since then. We were there for each other during all of life's big moments and turns. His place turned into my second home when my parents went through their explosive divorce when I was 11. I was there for him and mourned with him when his younger sister passed away from cancer when we were 15 years old and she was only 10. You name it, we worked through it. He was the only one not to freak out on me when I decided to drop out of college to pursue a trade. There was never a moment where either of us were worried about the other's reaction or what they'd say or think. Ben was the type of guy people knew could make anyone feel better regardless of the situation.
Aww.
He always knew what to say and what you needed, even if you didn't agree with it at the time. He's the best person I have ever had the privilege of meeting, and the world was a better place with him in it. I unfortunately know I have to put a lot of this here. No, Ben and I were never in love with each other like that. We were just really close friends/brothers.
That's a beautiful relationship.
It is.
No.
It is. But if you ever said, hey, Ben, you looking good,
Well, you have to kiss.
Yep.
you might have to
That's
kiss.
the rule. That's the rule.
Ben met his wife, Sally, in his junior year of college, and I knew Sally was going to be the greatest love of his life. She was so open, warm, and adventurous. Like Ben, she had a smile that lit up the whole room and effortlessly made everyone feel like her best friend. Everyone, including myself, looked at them as the perfect couple everyone knows. They got married 2 years into dating. Ben always told me how excited he was to love, hold, and protect her forever.
I just when you're watching a movie and the guy's gonna come out of the corner with the knife and stab someone.
We are in the first 3 minutes of Up right now.
I'm
First 3 minutes of Up.
I'm ready.
We're about to hit minute number 4, where all the ways he wanted to make her happy. He showed his love for her every day in his words and actions. I was so happy for him because I thought she did the same. I helped plan her.
Oh, I thought she did the same. Oh,
Lock in. Keep that in mind for later. I helped her plan a surprise 30th birthday party where he was reduced to tears upon seeing she spent hours making him a Mario Kart rainbow-themed cake.
Oh, wow.
That is kind of insanely fire. They talked about children, holidays, rescuing animals, growing their own fruits and vegetables. Sally quickly became a sister to me and became very close friends with Mary. The four of us went on countless holidays, helping each other through life's challenges, and went on at least one double date every 2 weeks, etc., etc. About 5 months ago.
no.
About 5 months ago, I woke up to 5 missed calls from Ben between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. the night before, and I just had a feeling that something really bad had happened. I called out of work, and I drove straight to his place. Sally had been cheating on Ben pretty much their entire relationship.
Oh, I feel so bad for Ben. It's like, it's like when you think the love of your life is the love of your life, and then it just all crumbles into nothingness. That is one of the hardest heartbreaks.
You thought that the surprise birthday party knocked you off your feet. Well, wait till you get a load of this surprise.
Oh man,
Sally. When Sally really met Harry while she was married to Ben. So when I confronted her and asked how she could do such a thing and why get married in the first place if you're just going to cheat the entire time, she broke down and told me it was more like living a double life. Because you see, Sally was/is gay.
That makes sense because my dad goes there to buy clippers at Sally's hairdresser thing
What?
because they have a lot of scissors.
She'd known since she was a teenager, but never felt like she could come out because of her conservative family. She met Ben and fell in love with him and counted on her feelings for women just somehow going away. She said she genuinely loved him as a person and a life partner, but that secret part of her only grew stronger and louder over the years. She casually dated and hooked up with women, telling Ben she was hanging out with friends from her hobbies/friend groups. He only found out the night she'd called me because one of the women Sally was seeing wanted to take their relationship further and freaked out when Sally broke up with her instead. This woman showed up to their house late at night and told Ben everything.
oh,
Dude.
I mean, good on her.
Well, that
Like, I
it
mean,
wasn't out of
yeah,
love.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to do the right thing.
I
but
think
like,
she's trying to hurt Ben and her. She's just like,
yeah,
I'm gonna lash out, and whoever catches the shrapnel is gonna get it.
but at least the truth came out. Ben is no longer living in a lie. But like, I don't know. Do you
The
want to live? Do you want to live in that truth? It's the Matrix, man. Like you're taking the red pill. But
Yeah.
that world is brutal.
The truth came out like Sally should.
Oh man.
But Ben was absolutely shattered.
Yeah, of course, dude. Oh.
He gave everything to Sally and loved her wholeheartedly, and it wasn't even the real her. She claimed to love him, but I can't help but think that she was using him. She lied to everyone, let us think she loved and adored Ben as much as he loved her, all so that she could have her cake and eat it too.
Oh.
I was quick to tell Ben he deserved better, but Sally apparently begged on her hands and knees,
No.
told him that she really did love him,
No,
and
Ben.
that she was willing to do anything to make it better.
No, Ben.
She's willing to do anything to make it better.
Ben, listen. Oh, Ben. Ben. It's like she. I think the issue is she doesn't know who she actually is, and so she's thinking that she can just like.
She's had no space to explore it. She's been
Yeah.
kind of forced to repress it by everyone for so long.
Yeah, dude,
It's
and hey, like not saying that isn't hard, right?
Yeah. I do feel for her in that sense.
You know
for sure.
that is hard to really like explore and understand your own identity with an identity that is completely accepted is hard, let alone an identity that you feel like may not be. So not at all trying to say that like what Sally to come to terms with that identity is like easy, but like you, man. You're just gonna destroy Ben. You need to be by yourself, discover who you are, and leave my boy Ben alone.
Yeah, like you can't. After all of this came out, like you can't then go and like,
Ugh.
could we just stay together?
No.
So it's like that. That's the thing you really, really can't do. That's the thing you
You're
really,
gonna
really
laser
can't do.
off that beard. It ain't ever coming
my
back.
Goodness gracious. Well,
I see where this is going, though. I just hate it. I hate it. I put I see you in the chat if you see.
put them ICUs in the chat. She would never talk to any women ever again. They could move somewhere new and start fresh. All that bull crap. Ben fell into a deep depression because he realized he never knew the real Sally, but he did really love her. He agonized over what to do until he got hit by a wasted driver while out late on a night walk 2 months ago. If you thought our hearts could not break any further or harder, you thought wrong.
Ben is just getting hit with surprise after surprise.
Whew. Guys, this story is crazy. We're saying things we don't even understand.
First episode.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Damn, that sucks.
you know, it really sucks. It really is not good. It's not good. Well, I won't go into how it felt to lose him. I am sure you can all imagine. It was made worse by having that bee crying at his funeral, crying like he really was the love of his life and she was the perfect wife. It was the first time in my life I ever wanted to hit someone. Oh, goodness gracious. This is... Oh, man. I couldn't believe the audacity that she had to show her face around Ben's loved ones, especially the ones that knew the truth. Mary knows how I feel about Sally, and I thought she understood that Sally is finished to us. I know I can't dictate who a person should/can be friends with, but if I had a mutual friend with Mary that shattered her as much as Sally did to me, I'd cut them off with no question. I can't be friends with someone who hurts my loved ones like that.
Yeah. Also, I mean, such a like your character has been shown. Yeah. Why would you ever want to associate with someone who's like that terrible?
Yeah. Again, there is the I'll call it, for lack of a better way of describing, complicated factor of like, you know, her identity and just being able to be who she was repressed.
Sure.
But that and so I do feel for her in that, you know, specific thing, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay friends with her, you know, especially if it's like hurting your partner, you know, it's yikes. It's very yikes.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, I came home from a work trip early and Mary was consoling Sally in our living room. I lost my crap. Asked them if they were having an affair. OP's crashing
that I feel
out.
like it's totally possible, but I feel like that's a little bit of a reaching.
That is
especially right now.
Yeah, that is too much of a reach.
That's a little bit of a reach.
Very overly emotionally charged right now, and that is not the thing you want to say right now. Screaming to the point of crying. I asked Mary how could she have Sally in the living room where we have a photo of Ben hanging on the wall. Sally tried to apologize to me, and here's why I was probably the a-hole.
You weren't already the a-hole.
Yeah, I think we might have already.
I do understand why Mary wants to console Sally. I mean, they were friends, you know, and
yes.
Even though Sally has done something terrible,
yes,
it's hard just to like cut off that.
This is
friendship.
a very complicated
It's
batch
so
of things that have happened.
Complicated,
right here. Very
it's
complicated.
So complicated, and it is like, you know, it was very unexpected. There hasn't been a ton of time to process everything going on.
Yes, and we will process it. But ladies and gentlemen, my goodness, is there more? I looked at her crying face, and it was like a switch flipped in me. I immediately stopped crying and yelling, and I just looked at her and said, the biggest injustice here is that you're here while Ben is in the ground. If the world were fair, I'd be able to press a button to swap your places, and I'd do it in a heartbeat. Ooh. You might be able to trick my wife into feeling sorry for you, but you are gone to me.
Wow, it just keeps going.
I see what you really are, and you're trash. You tricked Ben into falling in love with you so you could pretend to be mommy and daddy's good little straight girl while effing whoever you wanted on the side. We're not done yet. I can't even fathom or quantify your selfishness. If I woke up tomorrow and I was you, I'd never get out of bed again.
Wow. OP really said like, all right, let's hit him with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, like combo. OP did not stop.
Well, that is good a place as any to maybe just super quickly. So we said this is a complicated situation. To break it down really quickly, right? We have one, obviously the cheating is not good. Like, you know, you don't want to do that. You want to
Yep.
marry someone, build this life, have them
You heard
think
it here first from John. Cheating, not good.
cheating not good. You can't have a situation where it's like Ben who understands this whole thing and it's not actually true that this person is in love with you, that you are each other's mutual partners. That was a very painful lie that was portrayed, right? We also understand that it does suck for Sally growing up in a extremely repressive environment, literally is not accepted by her loved ones for who she actually is, and how that might twist and warp her mind, while not excusable, twist and warp her mind to do something as pain-inducing.
And
as
also,
this.
For Mary, I understand how difficult a situation that is. Like to have a friend that you've had for years who has effed up majorly, but is still going through a massive loss. And like as much as she has wronged Ben, I still do think she cared for him. Maybe just not in the complete romantic attraction kind of way, but they probably did care for each other. And so Mary's in this really weird position of like, wanting to console, but not wanting to justify this behavior. It's so complicated. And so I was OP. I would be pissed at Sally and I would say, I don't want this person in my life. I would probably get on the same page with Mary and have a conversation about this. I think it was, if they already had a conversation about this and said, oh, we're not going to be friends with Sally, and Mary went behind his back do that, I feel like that's whack. But I think you need to have like a united front about how you're going to navigate this, because I think having Sally in the room can be like triggering for OP, like
totally.
And I think there needs to be boundaries set, and you need to be on the same page with your boundaries.
And OP can communicate like, hey, it is really triggering for me to see Sally right now, but you cannot communicate it in the way you're doing it. That is too far.
Sally Toe says the wife completely effed up by having Sally in the house. Go somewhere else. Yeah, I think here's the F up.
Talk to me.
Sally effed up by cheating on Ben the whole relationship. Ben effed up by not
Going too
looking
far.
both ways.
Jesus.
Not really. Sorry.
Not picking a lane.
Yeah, but Ben did nothing wrong. Ben was a saint.
Yeah.
Mary did something wrong by not communicating that she felt like she needed to take care of Sally.
Mm-hmm.
And OP, I think, went a little bit too far by going on this whole tirade of how terrible Sally is, right? And so I think we have a lot of things that people did wrong here, but it's all twisted up and like a lot of love and hurt. And so I think that's why it's like no one's completely right, no one's completely wrong.
Yes.
Everyone's kind of done evils on the side. But I do think there is a ranking. I think it goes like Sally up here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think like Mary and Ben maybe are more on. Maybe it's Mary than Ben, more on equal level.
I think what OP did, I think, is worse than what Mary did. I think right now in my mind, because how hard he went on her.
Yeah.
Again, knowing, and she said like, "Hey, this was at least someone like I did share my life. This is a life partner. He probably was still, her best friend, the way that romantic partners are.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
it's almost like saying to your best friend, it's like, oh no, you suck. This person, you die. F you. You should be able to grieve. Like, I think that's why I view it worse.
as worse.
Yeah, but still, not to say that what Mary did wasn't very bad and very triggering for OP.
Well, I think like Mary brought someone that would be triggering for OP that OP views as someone that he does not want to associate and doesn't think like he wants to associate with at all.
Yeah.
Brings that person into the house, and like what is the effect is this outburst that OP probably doesn't want to make, but he's like literally been exposed to someone in his own home that he believes would be safe, that he thinks completely wronged.
He's been triggered to the breaking point.
And so I kind of see those as neck and neck, but would love to keep going into the next
Well,
part of the story.
Mary says I was cruel, and I guess I was, but it was my truth. Apparently, Sally hasn't left her house since that confrontation, It's to the point she's lost her job because of not going into the office.
Wow.
The thing is, I don't feel bad about it. I think it's the least she could do, and I hope she continues to not exist in my world. Mary knows that I feel this way, but still goes to Sally's place to bring her meals and help clean up the place. It honestly disgusts me. We've had so many explosive arguments about it, and for the first time in our marriage, I feel like we might not ever recover from this. Also, just super quick, I think there is, at a bare minimum, a twinge of homophobia in OP as well, because she was
I
like,
could see that in that
I
rant.
grew up. They were like, oh, we grew up in a very like repressive environment for that. It seems to me OP probably grew up in that same environment, and whether he knows it or not, I think there is a dash of at least a little. Sprinkle,
What are you referencing?
Go back to that rant.
Yeah.
It says right here.
Yeah. So yeah, you wanted to be this little straight girl while effing whoever you wanted on the side, like, and obviously it's a part of it, but just the way his anger is being triggered and the way he specifically mentions it, I do think that there is, at least a twinge.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious from y'all's perspective. Do you think that reads homophobic? I would love to know what you guys think.
And also and again, it's not like Sally didn't majorly F up, but the complete negative 100% empathy for the side of Sally's struggle of not being able to, like he has not acknowledged that an ounce.
Sure.
Anyways, that's what I'm thinking, but I would love to hear. We've had many explosive arguments about it, and for the first time in our marriage, I feel like we might not recover from this. We both feel like we've seen a new side to each other, and we don't know if we'll be able to move past it. I write this here because we've kept the situation to ourselves. Other people in our lives know something is up, but have been too afraid to ask. I guess I want other people's opinions on thoughts and feelings on this matter, even if everyone thinks I'm the a-hole. We have some relevant comments. Should we quickly touch on OP's a-hole?
I think everyone's the a-hole here. I think that's kind of what we came to. Yes. I would love to know what the other comments think, though.
I agree. I think everyone's the a-hole here. Significant Orange 139, shout out to a fellow Orange, says, I am sorry for your losses. That said, I think that if you can't accept that your wife is allowed to have different feelings about this than you might as well just walk away. I don't think you're being fair to say that she never loved him. Love, like life, is complex and messy sometimes. And to be honest, I think you're wrong to say that she doesn't deserve to grieve him. I
agree.
Have to say I agree.
I agree with that.
I don't think that she should have brought her into your home. That is a shared ground, and she needs to be respectful of your feelings there.
Agreed there, too. I think we covered that a bit.
Mm-hmm. But in your anger, you were distrustful of your wife, and you showed her a level of cruelty that she did not know you were capable of. That is hard to reconcile. And what for real replies to that, saying she doesn't get to grieve with his best friend's wife in his house.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, you can't do it in the house.
Agreed.
That's supposed to be, everyone's home is supposed to be our safe spot.
Yeah.
Where we can come back and seek refuge. So 100%. Not the a-hole. I understand the hurt, and at the same time, the perceived disrespect of her going to the funeral and acting like a good grieving wife. With that being said, she probably is grieving. Also, sorry, really quick. I also can see why she wanted to be at the funeral, because also imagine missing the funeral, even if you know you effed up.
She would. Of course she would be at the funeral. I think she has every right to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
And every right to grieve.
Yeah.
Just not in OP's house.
Yes, not in the house. She is a piece of crap for cheating, of course, but it doesn't mean that she can't hurt from losing someone. I know I can't imagine someone cheating on me and then saying that they loved me and missed me. And unfortunately, you now are seeing your wife console and be friends with someone who did just that. And it's making you second guess if she condones it or condemns it. And it's making you think that if she'll support someone who did it, will she do it? Oh, man. What for real is very astute for real.
Because also, another little thing is, Sarah is gay. My wife is over there all the time.
I forgot about that. He said,
he asked, "Are you cheating?"
Yeah.
I thought he asked that to Sarah.
I think he said that to the two of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
wow.
he's saying it to Mary and Sally.
And again, I bring up the little sprinkle of
I don't
homophobia.
think I don't know if that's homophobia, but I do think he's jumping the gun and assuming the worst.
yeah. But we go on.
But again, it could be. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm
Could it?
misreading it.
So no. Well,
All right,
like if you're scared of another woman stealing your wife, would that be homophobia? Or are you just scared of your wife being stolen?
I don't think
Food
it's
for
homophobia.
thought.
I don't think it's homophobia to I don't think it's homophobia.
I
Food for
think
thought.
because the immediate dash to it could be. But
Yeah.
I digress. We'll keep going. And yet, that's a fair question to ask, but the best place to ask that is in counseling. Do I agree with you? Yeah, part of me does. Your wife seems to care more about the cheater's emotions than your own.
Facts.
True. And seems to be there for her more than she is for you. That's a good
Facts.
point. And that I fully understand that would make my blood boil. But if you aren't going to talk to her about it and go to counseling about it, just call it. It's over. If you can't talk, just get a divorce. We have an update. We are not even halfway through.
Oh gosh.
Damn.
Really quick, Sam, what do we think about that last line? If you're having like, there's just like complete stalemate, you're both like,
If you're not
hurting
going to
each other.
talk, yeah, it's going to lead to divorce. Like if you can't have an open line of communication, you're screwed in that relationship. Like a
Yeah.
relationship is all about open communication. As soon as you shut that off, you will resent each other. So
Yeah.
I think that commenter's 100% right. 100% right. At least at that last part. The last part. I do think OP did wrong there. I think OP's the a-hole. I think Sally's the a-hole. I think Mary's the a-hole. They all did things are wrong. OP's the a-hole for a over-the-top outburst. I feel like that was across the line.
Mhm.
Mary's the a-hole for inviting someone that would trigger OP into a safe space that there was own. And Sally's the a-hole for cheating on Ben for all those years and not respecting, I think, like the sanctity of OP's home. So
Yes.
everyone's the a-hole.
There we go.
Yep.
Well, we have an update.
Let's hit it.
Thank you to everyone who commented on my first post about a week ago. It's been such a messed up situation and my feelings have been all over the place, so it really lifted a weight off my shoulders to see people who could understand why I felt and acted the way I did. A further thank you to people who reached out to me and shared their experience losing a best friend. I'm sorry you guys lost your best friends too. It's like a sledgehammer to the chest that won't dislodge itself. Now on to the update. It's only been a week, but it's felt like forever. Mary couldn't handle the fights and disagreements anymore and packed her bags the day after my post. I knew this was probably for the best and didn't have it in me to argue or fight for her to stay. I just asked, "Are you going to Sally?" To which she sighed and shook her head at me before leaving. Shook her head yes or no? I'm guessing no.
Well,
I interpret it like
nod is a yes, shook is a no.
yeah. I think she's saying she's not. She's saying that.
I think OP is like jumping the gun here, and like
Yeah.
Mary's like, ugh, like that's not even the point.
Yeah. Right. Her eyes had nothing but exhaustion and disdain inside. And to be fair, I'm sure mine were the same. The town I live in isn't that big, so I've had a few friends reach out to me to say that they saw Mary at Sally's place,
No way.
or that the two were seen grocery shopping together.
No way.
Did
I
we
don't
Those
just call
two
that- did we
grocery
just call
shop
that?
together.
What are you guys getting?
I don't know.
What are we getting at this grocery shop?
Wedding ring?
extra large cucumbers.
You can get that at Walmart, yes.
Yeah.
Both.
With the
share.
GMOs to pump them up. Well, I wake up every day to an empty house, knowing Mary is at Sally's, looking after her, asking if she's okay, cooking her meals, cleaning her house. She hasn't called or texted me at all, other than to answer my call last night with, "I'm not going to talk to you until you apologize to Sally," and hanging up when I try to explain myself. Now, I know I'd be lying if I said I felt bad for what I said to Sally at all. There's no point in hollow apologies, and I especially don't think there's a point if there's nothing left to fix in my marriage. Mary has made it clear where her loyalties and priorities lie. I just don't understand how she can go from holding me while I cried in her arms to choosing Sally over me and ignoring me.
Cowbot is God says next thing you know, there'll be you calling.
Oh, man.
That's so funny.
That
I
is pretty
one
good.
of one of my lady lover friends was telling me about a theme in lesbian relationships where it's like I was talking to a gay friend too, and he was like, yeah, like guys will like the problem with gay guys is they just will never commit to each other, or like that's like the most common thing that happens. And then with gay girls, they'll just like settle down so quickly. It's
Yeah.
like instant commitment. And there's this joke, they'll date for a few weeks and then get a U-Haul and move in together.
They take it.
Well, this is coming from one of my lady lover friends.
They gotta love Sam's lady
Lady
lover
lover
friends.
How's she doing?
Which is great.
Shout out in the chat.
LFG.
My therapist is advising me to let myself just feel my feelings and process before making any big life choices. And she's
Nice.
probably right, but I've lost all respect for Mary. I never would have thought she'd betray me in this way. I lied awake last night when I suddenly had the thought, what if Mary came back on her hands and knees begging and apologizing? What if she gave the best apology she possibly could for me for the situation? What would it change? And it breaks my heart, but deep down, I feel like it wouldn't change anything. There's some things that can't be forgiven. There are a few comments and DMs asking if Mary and Sally could be having an affair.
Which I'm wondering.
Gulp. Or if Mary knew about Sally before everything exploded. Ooh, that's another good question.
Which would be bad too.
Yeah, because she hid it, you know? These questions did keep me up when all of us started going down, but now I can't bring myself to care. My life doesn't make any more, so another cluster F detail wouldn't really change much in the grand scheme of things. I drafted a text that could be the last I send to Mary, and it goes as follows. Mary.
Oh boy.
You know it's bad when it's just name. Mary, your priorities and loyalties in this situation have been made very clear to me. I don't know if you want to try and save our marriage and the life we've built together, but at this point, I don't think there's anything left of it to save. You abandoned me during what I can only hope is the worst time of my life. You invalidated my grief and anger for what? The woman who's been lying to and betraying us for years? The woman who's used and strung Ben along for all these years? I don't recognize you right now. It's like I went to bed in a world that made sense one night and woke up in a nightmare. I think the only way forward here is for us to get lawyers and communicate through lawyers. I will not be leaving my house. If you want to collect your things, please let relative know so I can arrange that with them. I can't believe this is happening. I never thought this would be what we've become, but choices have been made. Quick gut thoughts on that.
I mean, it seems like it's what OP wants,
Yeah.
you know?
What he's feeling.
And it's like, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I feel like it's what OP wants and he's barreling towards it.
Yeah, and I think at least now he's seeming to communicate his feelings in a not like explosively attacking manner. So I think this is the best we could hope for this kind of communication to her at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh boy.
I've been redrafting his message over and over again for hours. Sometimes it's like it breaks my heart. Other times it's like I'm an outsider watching myself in a bad movie. The worst thing is I don't even know if Mary will care about it. I guess I'll let you guys know if I send it. I know I can't keep this up forever. And there is an edit/mini update. Thank you to everyone who for their input. I've deleted the text and I'm looking at lawyers in my area. I'm gathering all of my important documents and screenshotting all of my attempts at communication. I've had a few people ask in comments and DMs about what I said to Mary in our arguments to make her leave. I didn't put that here originally because we were honestly just going in circles again and again. It was nothing short of exhausting. Mary kept on insisting that Sally is still one of her closest friends and that she's not going to abandon her because she made a quote-unquote mistake. To which I'd remind her that her mistake was to make the choice again and again to lie to Ben and everyone around her, robbing Ben of a chance to find someone who would truly love him in the way he deserved while sleeping with and dating women while they were married. I can't imagine how scary it must be having to hide such a big part of yourself, but not everything can or should be forgiven. Okay, this is the first time OP has acknowledged like
that, which is good to acknowledge, and I
Yes.
think we kind of said it in the same way, which I think is the best way to say it, obviously.
yeah, and I think with time and therapy, he is coming around and being more thoughtful about this whole thing,
Agreed.
which is good. By the way, guys, if you want to join us and cry together, then tap our profile, probably live right now on Facebook and YouTube. Come on in and join the misery. But speaking of that, we still got a decent little chunk of this story left here. But
All right.
I'd be remiss if I.
Lala says Mary and Sally are 100% together.
Ooh, I do. Since we've gotten when it was very first laid down as a thought, I was like, okay, that seems like we're jumping the gun.
Now
It definitely doesn't look better.
it doesn't look great, but
I'm not like 100% convinced that that's the case, but I definitely would say it's possible.
yeah.
It's definitely a possibility, definitely on the table.
Also, to all our lady lovers out there, we apologize for the scissor jokes. We know that is basically a myth in that community. Lala, I appreciate you calling us out on that.
There we go. Big Lala, we appreciate you. Oh, man.
Oh yeah, I apologize too.
Thanks, Riley. But yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is it seems like, at this point, it doesn't seem to be a move for OP and Mary to stay together. And they're naturally, kind of reaching that stage. OP's getting better.
Yeah.
With more time and
Yeah, well, I feel
reflection.
like the rage and grief are dispersing, so OP can be a little bit more level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
But it still feels like we're trending towards divorce. I would really like to. I want to see what happens next. Like if it actually goes all the way to divorce.
Well, good sir, I have the end for you. So she could have been honest early on, and she would have had a group of friends who would have her back and support her however they could. But instead, she chose to string Ben along. If Ben had passed away thinking he had the perfect marriage he thought he had, things would be different, but he didn't. He passed away lost and in pain as a direct result of Sally. The feeling of loss and in pain. I know his death was an accident, but nobody could have seen it coming. Mary thinks and claims that I am a callous F, and I think that she should have higher moral standards for her friends. And we do have some relevant comments here. So, to bio Nick Knees says, don't do the text, talk to a lawyer, get the ball rolling, get everything done first, get every account checked, amounts listed, itemized list of everything in the house, valuation on the house, check every stock, check every bank account, start checking the passwords and info on everything, personal accounts, credit cards, and check stuff. As we've said in the past, if you want a divorce, just get all your affairs in order and have documentation in advance. Make sure you have all of your documentation and move them somewhere and secure them so she can't come over to get her stuff and take anything important. Ask your lawyer for a list of every single thing you do so you are ready and there are zero surprises, then have her served. Don't tell her you think you're going to divorce and not be ready.
Why is that? Because I feel like if I was going to get a divorce with my partner, I would I guess I would be thinking that it would be
Like an amicable split.
amicable, but I would feel bad to just surprise someone with a divorce. I feel like, the same way, proposing to someone shouldn't be a surprise, it should be a surprise when it comes, but it shouldn't be a surprise that it's going to happen at all. It feels like a divorce shouldn't be a surprise.
I think sometimes in some situations, if you don't surprise someone with it and they know it's coming, they can maybe manipulate it with money and get ahead of stuff and take more than their half or whatever because you guys have joint accounts. That financial abuse, other things like that.
But I don't know. I don't know if I see indicators of that
in
this relationship. It's not like there's a history of financial abuse or a history of outright manipulation. I'm curious to hear from chat because something about that just doesn't sit right to me. I feel like I wouldn't just surprise a partner with divorce if I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
My cat's name is Karen says you can really F with your soon to be ex with lawyers. Every lawyer you meet with us now is off limits to your ex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I they can also PU asserts into family members' name to hide it. Crazy Cat says, I don't think Mary will be surprised to be hit with divorce papers since she was basically said she doesn't want to be in her life.
My understanding of that advice is it's a more generalized thing of like, hey, just to be triple sure that she doesn't try to mess up any of the evidence, documentation, bank accounts, etc. Just kind of like get all of that tidied up first before you bring it over. I agree too that I think it's like, I mean, again, just imagining myself in it, I feel like it would be, I would go into it with a very amicable and like wanting to give mindset versus like, okay, let me hoard and, protect. But I guess I could also see too, and, we've read many scenarios where it's like, oh, if the person did know, they might try to obstruct the justice, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, it's assuming like divorcing is assuming you are dealing with a rational person on the other end.
Yeah,
like divorcing with notice.
Yeah, and I get the impulse to just as blanket advice say, hey, just get all your ducks in a row first.
Man, I hope
that makes sense.
But
to
me, that would suck.
Yeah, samesies.
That would suck.
Also, talk with your lawyer about the situation. Are you in a state where you can file for an at-fault divorce? Do you think you might end off better with a divorce due to her cheating, etc.? If so, get a PI and have her investigated. This commenter is not playing absolutely any mother flipping games. I am not sure she's having an affair with Sally. She might be, but she might be having an affair, and so doesn't see what Sally did is wrong and is able to have her affair while living with Sally. It's also possible Sally and Mary have been covering up each other's affairs for years. Again, a private investigator can help there. Old phone records, digging into weird numbers she used a lot, etc. ... You're making the right choice to get out now. This is a moment of revealing loyalty, morals, and values that your wife has shown she has no loyalty to you or the marriage and has questionable morals and values by choosing her friend. There's no trust anymore in your wife, and you've got a good reason. I saw this happen growing up to a family that my family was close to at our school. The mom was helping her friend through a divorce, ended up cheating during a night out and getting divorced herself. You know what to do. Get a lawyer. Get the process started.
Is that where that ends?
Yep.
That's it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think commenter went pretty hard in the paint there. Not that that's not necessarily the most self-protecting method to choose.
So I would just, has anyone watched Marriage Story? Am I the only one that's watched it?
I've seen it.
You watched it? Okay.
Yeah.
The whole idea of that movie is basically like to debunk exactly what this commenter is saying.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is these two people are getting divorced. They love each other. The marriage isn't working. They want a divorce, right?
Amicably.
And it starts amicably. And then the lawyers are like, well, like, we could do this.
Yeah.
And so one of them like starts protecting all their stuff. And then his lawyer's like, she could do this. And then what happens is because they're both being on the offensive and the defensive so aggressively, it keeps going higher and higher and piling higher. And like, it just spirals out of control. And I think when you have defensive action that is in the shadows, you actually end up creating the situation that you were trying to avoid by having this defensive action. And yes, I do realize that it is a risk to assume that the person on the other end of that table is a rational actor. But I'm hoping that you got into this relationship with someone who is somewhat rational, and you can come together if you both treat each other with respect.
Yeah.
And I just worry this like blanket advice that Reddit often gives about move in the shadows, get a divorce, surprise him with it. I think it can lead to the exact kind of behavior you're trying to avoid. Kimberly Fine disagrees a little bit. I would love to know what you guys think, but I imagine I'd get some pushback from this. John nailed it. It's self-projection. This hard-boiled moral soapbox is the result of trauma. They're raging because someone made someone else feel how they've meant to feel. They protect themselves even though there's no actual threat because they couldn't protect themselves the first time or the 50th time. and they won't make that mistake again. Or maybe you are agreeing with me. I'm not sure. That second one bit sounds like you are agreeing with me. They protect themselves even when there's no actual threat, which is like I may be referencing like the lawyers kind of being overprotective because they couldn't protect themselves the first time or the 50th time.
I honestly do agree with you because I don't know, just being in a long-term relationship, my mindset first would be, what can I do to make the other person's life it's already going to be hard, right?
It's already going to be hard.
What can I do to make their life as easy as possible? Because in most marriages, this isn't like, oh, we dated for we were in a relationship for 3 months. We were in a relationship for 12 months. Marriage is usually multi-years long. Yeah. Oh, Kimberly Fine says, I am agreeing with you, Lowell, and also John. So I think Kimberly Fine's kind of seeing...
seeing the truth in both.
Truth in both, yeah, which I think is...
Kimberly Fine says, nuance, man. Kim? Can I call you Kim?
Are we on that level?
Are we on that level? Yes. Shout out for nuance. Shout out for nuance.
I feel like that is exactly what this whole conversation, that's a great point.
Also, Sophia Callan wants us to be heard. Don't make life decisions when grieving. I do think that's also an important point, although I feel like we have enough information that OP should still be going this direction. But I do agree, like when grieving, you can make decisions that don't necessarily benefit yourself long term.
And you guys are doing it from the Alex perspective earlier in the stream where he divorced in a great way. But sadly, not everyone is like that.
Not everyone's like that.
This is true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, if you essentially lead with the, how can I give you everything I can to just set you up for success, and as a thank you for the years we had together, I feel like that fosters and sets the tone for a interaction that is benevolent rather than one that is operating out of fear.
Yeah. But, easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
And listen, we have seen some crazy divorce stories on this show. My goodness. I'm a little bit proud of us that even out of all of those hundreds of stories that we have seen, that we do still have this, we are still holding strong in the faith of humanity.
Well, because I feel like, reading all these stories, you realize what the main pitfalls of all these relationships are.
True.
It's usually just like trust communication. It's like something that a quote that I love is, all the old questions have old answers,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do I be happier? Those answers are in a book that's written 1,000 years ago. How can I have better relationships? Those answers in a book written like hundreds of years ago. Like all of this kind of stuff is it's very trite and or not trite. It's very obvious. It's just harder to do than say.
Same wheel, different bike.
My cat's name is Karen. Says, my ex started an affair with a woman whose husband had died 2 months prior from colon cancer at 35, and he got her pregnant. He's married to her now.
Wow. Dang.
That's crazy.
Jeez Louise, I am sorry. Oh my God, my cat's name is Karen. Also, just my cat's name is Karen is just a wonderful reminder that this stuff does happen. These often are real people.
Yes.
And these are situations that like people have to navigate.
Oh yeah.
And so hopefully, we're setting you up with the trial, the practice level. So if this ever happens to you, which I hope to God it does not, but if it does, you will be ready and be able to make the right decisions.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's get into that next one, boys.
Let's get into that next one, boys and girls.
My husband is trying to exploit our marriage for content.
For content.
I mean, John's always down for that.
For content.
So, my husband, John, fake name, and I.
Sorry. How old?
300, I think. My husband, John, fake name, and I have been married for over 2 years and dated for about 3 years before that. Overall, we have a generally healthy relationship with good communication. By the way, this comes from I Don't Have ADHD on the r/OK Storytime subreddits.
And for context, the male is 25 and the female is 26.
Okay. So when we first got married, we used to go on lots of dates. Not necessarily anything big, sometimes just coffee or a drive, but we went out of our way to get out of the house together for quality time. As time has passed, I have taken on more freelance work, keeping me busier, and he started saying that he's just too tired, doesn't feel like getting ready to go out after work or on his days off. Up until now, I haven't had an issue with that. He does work a lot, and I don't blame him, but here is where things have changed. A couple of months ago, he got really interested in digital marketing, basically selling products online. He bought an expensive course to help him learn and has started trying to consistently post 3 times a day in order to build a following on a new Instagram account.
Okay, consistency.
So he's really putting a lot of work into this. Also, that's more than us a day. We only post twice a day.
We need to up our game.
Up our game. I'm not holding my breath that it will work out for several reasons that I won't get into here unless you want them, but I've never discouraged him for doing it. When he gets stressed, I encourage him. I tell him often that I'm proud of all his hard work. I am, etc. I only mention that to say that I'm not against him trying this out and haven't put him down for it ever. But this is why I've gotten a little sad. Last week, we went on a cute date after he got off work on Saturday, and I loved it. We laughed and talked and generally had a great time like those first dates after getting married. While we were on the date, I had an idea for a cute reel that took maybe 5 minutes to record, and then I put my phone away for the rest of the time. When we got home, I created and posted the reel, adding him as a collaborator with his new digital marketing Instagram account at his request. At his request. I guess he's gotten advice to post real life things, not just videos trying to sell. No biggie. I didn't mind. Well, since I already have a following, small but bigger than his, that reel did better than any of the other ones on his account. Great. We both thought. But now he's asked to go on a small date every Saturday.
Here we go.
Girl, that's just called aligned incentives.
Double down on what works, ladies and gentlemen.
This is what John and Sam do. I will say, I'm going to call John out on one thing. For OK Raps, one time my face got like 10 million views, and ever since then, my face is the first thing that shows up on an OK Raps reel because I think he wants to try and do that. Is that correct?
Why?
Then why is my face always there?
Because it made sense for you to ask the question, and then we were like, person asks questions, and we respond.
I was totally wrong.
Although to go on Riley's example, we had like one TikTok that was like, who has the best producer tag? I then proceeded to make 100 TikToks on who has the best producer tag. We must make 100 videos to know.
John is Mr. Double Down.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've heard of Mr. Worldwide, but have you heard of Mr. Double Down? At first, I was so happy. I'd love to get back to our regular dates, but then he said it would be so that we could get content for his page.
For content.
He asked if I could be a collaborator on all or most of the posts, but if he could post them himself so he gets credit for the engagement. I guess all the views, the likes, etc. don't actually bump his page analytics since I was the one who created the post. Well, I'm feeling hurt because for over a year he hasn't shown much interest in taking me out. Now, all of a sudden, because he needs content and saw how I could help his view count go up.
Content!
He wants to go on dates, though. I guess I'm feeling used and like I'm not any kind of priority. I feel like the dates won't even count as actual dates because he's not asking to go out to spend them with me. He's just like, babe, can you hold this tripod right here? All right, no, babe, hit record. All right, we gotta go again, 3 times.
This might not be real love, but these are real views.
I do want to reiterate that I'm not opposed to him doing this side job, and I'm not even opposed to helping him or collaborating on posts, though I prefer not to do it every week. I'm actually really happy, whether or not it works out as a moneymaker, that he's just putting a lot of effort into something that excites him. I haven't seen him this into anything, maybe ever.
Oh, no. This is going to crash so hard. Because not only is the content maybe not going to work out, but then your relationship, if it doesn't work, it's just going to crash so hard because he's this excited.
Or you become like one of those couple vloggers and then just blow up huge. And as long as the views are good, you at least have to fake it for the camera. So you'll have some semblance of the relationship.
You'll have something in common.
You'll have something in common.
Needing to pretend to be in a relationship to generate an income.
Hey, this is Hollywood, baby. You gotta fake it until you make it.
Showtime.
You know what would be so messed up is if he figures out monetization and he gets like money from this, but like does not pay OP at all.
He pays OP in love. And she pays him in frickin' views.
Dude, he pays her in exposure.
Yeah. It's not his fault that her love language is quality time and his is views on Instagram.
And his is qualified views.
Babe, you see, like your heart is in your heart and my heart is just below the post with that little next to the comment bubble, that little like button. If you could just like that. I'm asking for advice because I don't know if I should bring this up to him or not. And if I do, what should I say? The last thing I want to do is make him feel bad or discourage him in his new endeavor. Should I just be grateful to be going on dates again? Am I being selfish? Opie is asking for the lowest bar. Thanks for any and all advice if this is very long. If this could be posted to the sub, I'm open to suggestions. I couldn't post it on relationship advice because it has to be a yes or no question. Edit because so many people are getting hung up on the double standard of me making content on the date but not wanting him to. I just want to clarify, I'm not a content creator by any means. I asked if he wanted to do a reel and he said yes. It's not a regular thing as I don't post much. To me, the difference here is that the whole point of these dates moving forward will be to get content. And for him, it will be work, where for me, it was just a fun thing for us. Maybe this doesn't make a difference, but that's just how I see it in my head. And there are some relevant comments and an update. I'm just seeing win-wins, baby.
All I'm
just
seeing
wins.
is views.
All I'm seeing is views. You know, at the base of every relationship is a 10 million view TikTok.
Babe, how are we supposed to subscribe to this relationship if we cannot get people to subscribe to our content? I ask you that simple question.
Yeah. If our love was true enough, the internet would know and they would watch it a million times. You know? True love gets views.
It's facts.
John showed me a beautiful video that had like 14 million views about true love. Story
I
course.
did.
You did.
I
You
did
Remember
do
that?
that.
Remember that?
Yes, and it was a beautiful story.
It was it made me cry.
You right?
It was great.
There you go.
But we got some comments. So Caroline Sakura says, how about you tell him how you feel and that a date is a date and reels are for work. If he wants to go on dates just to get views, those can be only 1 on 5 dates if you are comfortable with even that. Communicate. And the ring says communication is key. You could talk to him and with the idea above, even in frame, that date as a work date. If you're on board and comfortable, maybe keep the Saturdays as your special dates and then whatever day lines up. Other than that, try to make reels together. But what if the spice of the relationship is the reels? You know, before you had these reels, there were no dates. As soon as you recorded it, there's dates. You know, it's kind of like when you're playing poker and you're not playing with real money. It's like, oh, is this fun? But as soon as you're playing for a little bit of cash, it's like it spices up the game.
The whole thing changes.
You know, I think if you love for views, maybe you love a little bit harder.
Whoa.
Never think about that, did you? Did you think about that? If you generally don't like the idea, then tell him that as well. Away Grapefruit 4297 says, so he's in an MLM and he admitted that this wanting to go out with you was to support his cultish business rather than to get because he values the time. That hurts. I get it. I'm sorry. I do want to say that these companies / opportunities / MLMs are very scripted, high pressure, and designed to make people think if they fail, they are at fault, despite the actual setup being a massive reason for the failure. They literally borrow cult tactics in order to prey on people. I think you should talk about your feelings because I also think you should tread lightly because the whole system is designed to be defensive if you bring up reason. It's part of the gig. There are lots of hugs. I'm sorry. And there is an update.
So what is he trying to sell on his Instagram account again?
I don't know. Maybe like...
All we know is that he bought a expensive course to help him do it.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe... my guess was he bought an expensive course on how to make expensive courses. That was my guess.
Makes sense.
But we got an update.
Ho!
So, first of all, thank you to the vast majority of you who are logical and kind. And screw the people who immediately jumped to bashing women. In 2024, really? Anyway, here's what I ended up doing. Many of the comments said that the best thing to do is probably just take the win and find the good in my situation. But if it's really bothering me to bring it up to John, I honestly didn't want to, but I didn't want to be upset on every date either. So I decided to give it a trial run and see how I felt after. I waited 2 weeks to make a decision and chose to go ahead and mention it to him. For those of you who think I'm some dramatic witch whose husband could never do enough to make her happy, I told him I was sure how I felt wasn't how he intended to come across, but then explained what I'd been thinking. Sure enough, as many of you said, he was simply killing two birds with one stone. I told him I was totally fine creating content on our dates. I just didn't want to feel like that was why we were on a date. He said that he understood and would be careful about that. And if I was bothered or wanted to have a no content date, to just let him know. So that's the good part. The next part was a little tougher. Per the advice of a couple of you with either digital marketing or MLM experience, I had the tough pyramid scheme talk.
Ooh, it was an MLM though. That sucks.
I told him before, during, and after this conversation that no matter what he chooses, I do and I will support him and help him. But I also explained to him a few things. How the marketing was misleading, how most people lose money instead of making it, how they will try to keep trying to get him to spend more money to make it work, etc. I also suggested that he track his hours of learning, content creating, and posting so that even if he does start making sales, he can decide if the time is worth the payout. I probably mentioned other things as well, but I don't remember what, if so. I've always been very anti-MLM and like to think I know a lot about it, so I just tried to give him all the basic info in a kind way. After all that, I told him if he wanted to keep trying, I was for it as long as he doesn't invest any more money before he makes some. I also told him how I was proud of all the work he put into his side hustle so far and how I loved that he was excited about it, how he's getting up early to work out because of it. He will record parts of his run, stretches, etc., but actually does a full workout or run, and I love how it's energized him. By the way, if you want to be energized, you should join our YouTube and Facebook every weekday at 3 p.m. PST, where we go live, and we're probably live right now, so tap our profile. I'm going to go straight into the update, so understandably. Yeah, exactly that.
That's exactly what OP
we're
did.
We're looking at a meme of The Office of Michael realizing he's in a pyramid scheme. So,
yeah.
Understandably, he was a little sad and quiet, but he understood everything and wasn't mad at all. This was all night, and he was totally back to normal before bed, and he's continued posting today. So I guess it didn't hurt his feelings or discourage him like I thought it might. That's the whole reason I waited so long, but I guess it would have been fine all along. I'm looking forward to our weekly dates and to the fact that we will be able to look back and remember them all since we will have videos from each one. Again, grateful for all of your kind words, and I'm happy to answer comments or questions. Just be nice for goodness sake. And that is where that story ends and this episode ends.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I Communication. I like that story. It was, a funny little uptick. And you know what? Also, man, if he's just like getting out there, recording content, going to the gym. Remember how she said the line where she's like, I've never seen him this into anything or like activate.
It sounds like, yes, he's recording for the videos of the gym. And yes, he's recording the dates for the videos, but it sounds like he's just like the recording of his life is actually making him do the things that he should do.
Right. He's now under the world's watchful eye.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find this guy's Instagram.
See it.
No way. I would love to see it though, if we can.
There's no way.
There's no way. There's no way.
Looking at the comments.
There's a way that if you love us, you should subscribe.
We do love you.
And see you tomorrow.